Hi, how are you? It's been 77 years since I've recorded a video, so yeah, let's get on into it. Long story short, life just got in the way, and I really hadn't filmed enough videos to account for that. And my last video really didn't do that great at all compared to what it normally does. I'm not complaining or anything. I'm just giving you insight into what's in my brain. Part of me was just a little bit discouraged to film. Even right now, I don't really know what I'm filming. I'm gonna figure it out as we go. But I do think the best direction for my channel for right now is going to be for me to stick with tutorials, because that seems to be what people like, what people engage with. We're going to go in with the Perfect Prime Eye Primer. And then you're just going to gently pat. The eye primer is a super important step because it's going to lock in your shadows and help everything stay in place without the oiliness from your eyelids or the creases in your eyelids causing the eyeshadow to shift or move. So we've primed. We're nice and primed. I'm going to take this big fluffy brush and we're going to go into our first transition shade, and I'm using the Soph X Revolution palette Extra Spice, and we're just going to go in with that cookie dough shade. I just get that all over the brush. And you really want to make sure that you have a nice, loose, fluffy brush for this. You don't want the bristles to be too dense because you really want it to get that nice wash of color all over the whole lid. We're then going to go into an angled brush like this. This one's from Beaky, and we're going to use the shade Brownies right here. I'm going to tilt my head back because my eyes are hooded. And I'm just going to stamp that color all in the outer V, using the shape of the brush to really help us with that placement. And we've got that eye looking nice and smoky. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Once the outer corner is built up where we want it to be, we're going to go back in with that first brush, no extra product, and we're literally just going to go over all of the edges. And that's just to make sure everything's blending out nice and seamlessly. Nothing's too harsh, nothing's too unblended. For the next step in our routine, it's going to be primer. I've been loving the Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray. You can use it. It isn't marketed like that, but it on the directions says apply pre-makeup to prep skin. So that's how we're going to be using it today. I've definitely used my fair share of it, so I am a fan of that. I've not used the Milk Makeup equivalent, so I can't speak to how they compare, but I really do like that one, especially for the price point. The price point is unbeatable. Next up for foundation, I'm going in with the About Face Performer Foundation. No surprise, this has become one of my favorite foundations. I love the applicator too. Like if more foundations had an applicator like this, it would be glorious. And I'm going to use my trusty puff. And I've decided after just sitting here and slapping my face for a second that I'm going to do a kind of sultry look. So we're going to leave the eyes where they're at. It's just going to be a matte eye look. I've had people tell me that I don't need foundation, but it's one of those, like, foundation has a time and a place. Like there's some times where I don't use foundation. Like if I'm kind of in a rush, I will not use foundation on those days just to kind of give it a bit of a break. And you don't have to use foundation. You can just skip this whole fucking part, you know? For concealer, I'm going to go in with the NYX Bear With Me Concealer Serum in the shade Golden. This has been my go-to concealer formula. It just works. And for me, my whole thing, I am all about makeup that actually looks good in real life. So it may look a little lackluster on camera, but that's because my emphasis is that it looks good in real life. Cool, cool. So for this, we're going to grab trusty, just kidding. We are going to grab a powder puff and blend this out, but we're going to let it sit first. So the next product I'm going to go into is bronzer. I want to use a cream bronzer, but I also don't. But I'm gonna. So I'm going to be using the Essence cream stick, and I'm going to try to just put it on my brush and see what that does. I don't think I like it. How much product do they? Oh, you get quite a bit of product, though. It's kind of nice for as cheap as this is. What, Bubs? What? It's not the dentin times yet. So I've made those lines, so I'm going to go ahead and blend those out with circular motions. We're going to come back and use powder bronzer. I was on a kick where I was only using cream bronzer, but I just like powder bronzer too much to not have it as a step in my routine. Even though that has bronzed the forehead up nicely, we're going to do it on the cheeks as well. I'm just doing little kisses of the product so that it's not so much product on my cheeks that I have to then try to figure out how to make blend. Woof. Okay. And I'm liking this better going in with a lighter hand. I think the first time I used it, I used way too much. You do still have to, I don't feel like it works very well with rubbing the brush on the product. Like gosh, it smells so good. If you don't like fragrance things though, you will not like it. It smells very much like artificial coconut tropical. Okay, so we're blending. That's like 90% of what makeup is the part that gets skipped or edited out. And it's literally just doing this. It's just blending. It's going back over areas that you thought you got good enough, but that you maybe didn't get good enough. I'm not mad at this bronzer. I'm not mad at it. I do wish they had a better shade range though, because that would be like ideal product in the ideal price range for the average person. Because it was only, I think, $4.99, but the shade range is trash. I'm pretty sure that's the darkest shade, which in 2025, pathetic. For powder bronzer, I'm going in with the NYX Buttermelt bronzer. I won't be surprised when I hit pan on this. I adore this bronzer. It just has a little zhuzh that other bronzers I've used don't have. I'm assuming it's something to do with the butter, the like jojoba shea and all that is in it, but it just... And we're using this to set down that cream bronzer while also adding its own pigment. I fucking love bronzer. If you can take away one thing away from my video, it's that. But then we're gonna apply underneath the cheekbone. You don't have to make that face. I was just doing it to be dramatic to show you the difference. But where you can see that hollow of my cheek, I'm gonna apply it pretty much, I say on top, but in like an upward fashion. So really, it's like the bone right above it that's getting the product on there. And that's gonna look like a lot, but it's okay because we're gonna blend it out. Hey boy, I really wanna see if I could get a copyright strike for singing that song. And there we go. Snatched and blended. Now that bronzer is complete, we're going to go in with our brush to blend out the concealer. And I'm going to be using a Sigma F64 soft blend concealer brush. And I'm basically just going to tap in place for the first couple of pats, enough to blend out those edges, and then I'm going to start moving the product upward. And I like to use a series of patting motions instead of sweeping, because when you sweep, you're bound to get something caught in a crack or a crevice. Okay, and it's all blended out. You can see the difference. Love, love this concealer. It is one of my favorites of all time. I've seen some people buy a shade that's actually closer to their foundation shade and use that concealer because it's a concealer serum. They've used it as like their full face, like a foundation. I'd be interested to try that out just to see how it goes because it does have very good coverage and only a little bit of product. Because for both eyes, I only did a half a pump, so 1 pump total. And this is me just bringing the excess into the inner corner. And if you want it more dramatic, you can make this part really bright. I don't do that anymore because I have crepey under eyes, and when they're too bright, that's all you see is just the creases and the crepes. No matter what I do, no matter what powder I use, no matter what concealer I use. So, sort of bright, but not light bright. Now that the concealer's all blended out, we're going to go in with the Revolution Blush Balm in the shade Peach Filter. And I'm just going to do a little bit. It's not as pigmented as like Made by Mitchell, so you don't have to worry about that. But it does still have a really pretty color and tone. And we're also going to set this with a powder blush because why not? Maximalism. That's what I'm about. Okay. Beautiful. Now I'm going to go in with a blush that's inside the NYX and Sabrina palette. It is a shade called Harvey. It's the prettiest peach blush that I own. And yeah, I know it's random that it's inside a palette, but it's whatever. I'm going to go right in and just set. And you don't have to set cream blush or bronzer, to be honest. If you get a good enough product, you can just leave it as is. Am I doing so for this video? Yes. Why? Because I'm extra. Do you have to be that extra? You do not. I could just bathe in this blush. I love what this looks like so far. This is a little more glam than my everyday, but still really pretty. We love her. So this next part would work better if I had a black lip liner, but I don't. So I'm going to be using an angled brush with this Milani lipstick. And I know you're saying, whoa, Nelly, why are we, what are you doing? Saying, whoa, Nelly, why are we using black? It's going to be the foundation for our lipstick that's going to be red. So when it's applied, it's a lot more like a dark gray than a true black because I'm shearing it out when I'm applying it. And a hack I like to do is once you have the top finished, lining, press your lips together and it'll do a very faint line on the bottom. So you kind of already have a guideline. Now that the lips are feathered with the black, what we're going to do is go in, I'm going to use 2 reds. So the first red is a kind of deeper red, and I'm going to put that along the edges and in the same place where we put the black. So and then I'm going to take the lighter red. Just kidding. I'm going to use a different red. I'm going to take the lighter red, and that's going to go in the center. And voila. No, I'm just joking. And now you have a sultry red lip that's giving without giving, you know. For mascara, I'm going to be using the lash extender from e.l.f. This has been my favorite mascara. I love it for those your lashes but better kind of a look. Like, it's not going to make you look like you have false lashes by any means, but it is also really pretty and enhances your natural lashes. Okay, and with my mascara applied, that is going to complete the final look. With a red lip, I do like to kind of stay a little bit more conservative with everything else because the red lip is already like, BAM! Erase. So, yeah, we've got a sultry eye, we've got a sultry lip, and whether I'm actually going to wear this out or wipe off the red lip, you know, I don't know yet. Right now I like it, but if you see photos of me without the red lip on and you're like, that makeup looks awfully familiar, that's probably why. I probably wiped it off. But, you know, either way, thank you so much for watching my video. I know this has been a little bit of a chaotic one. I haven't filmed in a minute, so it's kind of rusty getting back into the swing of things. But your views, likes, and subscribes are very much appreciated. And again, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!